remarks while we're waiting for our fourth and final panelist this afternoon. My name is Dave Bueller. I'm the Utah Commissioner of Higher Education. It's been my pleasure throughout this afternoon to moderate these sessions. Earlier today, each of the finalists had the opportunity to meet privately with the Snow Board of Trustees, student government, the President's Cabinet, along with deans and the President of the Faculty Senate and Staff Association. And this afternoon, the opportunity is for you to meet each of them and for you to ask your questions of them. We'll have about 50 minutes until 4:50. There are the ground rules, and it'll be a town hall type format. We're just very informal, question and answer. And I'd ask you to now join me in welcoming Dr. Courtney White. Where's our mic person? Well, you can borrow mine so we can get things going. So we're happy to welcome Dr. White. Okay, great. Thank you. All right, great. Thank you very much. Invite Dr. White, if he would just say a few words of introduce himself and a few words of introduction and a little bit about his interest here, and then we'll go right to questions. Sorry.
Get around you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bueller. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. It feels a little bit like this is your life for me, being back in Ephraim at Snow College, seeing so many friends and colleagues and people that mean so much to me and my family. I want to start off maybe by introducing my wife, Jenna Lynn. She's here. She wouldn't mind just standing up and waving. We're in this together. She's my partner, my better half. In Spanish, my media naranja. You're the other half of the orange, my soulmate. And so I'm glad that she's here joining me today. But I'm thrilled to be here. It's a privilege to be with the other finalists. I shared this story a couple times with folks I've met today, but when the newspaper article came out on Friday with the finalists, and it had the pictures of us there, my son came up to me and said, my 12-year-old son, he came up to me and said, Dad, congratulations on making the newspaper. And I said, well, thank you, son, I appreciate that. He said, have you read the comments to the newspaper article? And I said, no, I try to make it a general habit of not reading comments to newspaper articles. But he said, there is one you've got to check out. And he read it to me. And the gist of it is, here in these 4 pictures are the stages of male pattern baldness. And we know which stage you are, Dad. And then he said, and oh, by the way, President Carlson has more hair than you, too. So this is my 12-year-old son keeping it real with his dad. So that momentary source of pride went away pretty quickly. But, Snow and Ephraim, Richfield, these communities, they mean the world to me. I grew up here. I attended Snow College. My parents moved to Ephraim in 1986 when Steve Bennion hired my dad as Vice President of Academic Affairs. They've lived in Ephraim for 12 years and have now lived in Richfield for almost 12 years as well. Actually, they lived in Ephraim for 16 years and lived in Richfield for 9. But I literally lived and grew up across the street from campus. Our first home now, bulldozed and paved over, was just this side of the Noyes building. Actually, it's where the church sits now, but I could literally hit the Noyes building with a rock. And then we moved just down the street, past the physical plant, also bulldozed, house bulldozed, parking lot. But nothing but good memories. Our life revolved around the college. Academically, athletically, fine arts-wise, this was it. This was as good as it got. And it was an idyllic childhood, or growing up anyway. And in the summers, I worked as a custodian on campus. Bob Oliver was my supervisor, also my scoutmaster. And to this day, I remember the names of my professors that I took classes from. No better quality faculty at any of the other institutions I've attended. That personal connection and interest in students is unmatched. My first real job in higher ed was as a Snow College recruiter. So that was where I learned the ins and outs, everything that was positive, learned kind of a short message about everything that's great about snow. That was my first real higher ed job. And so from that platform, then I went on and had different experiences both in public and in higher ed that I believe have prepared me for this position at this moment in history. President Carlson has done a terrific job. Snow is in a great place. Everybody I've met is very positive about where it sits now, and I'm excited to take it to the next level with your help. My current position as Chief of Staff at Dixie State University has been an intense 4-year training period about how to be a president. I have encountered everything in that office for the last 4 years that a president can encounter. President Williams, my mentor, a terrific leader within the system, has allowed me to participate in every significant and substantive decision over the last 4 years. We've met monthly with faculty and staff, every month for the last 4 years, had open forums with them, entertaining questions, concerns, communicating, clearing up issues, soliciting advice, listening. I think that's as important as anything, is listening. And so I think, based on this, the last 4 years, it's really prepared me for the role as Snow College president, a role I'm familiar with, and presidents I know going back to Steve Binion. And just really grateful and honored to be here and look forward to having this conversation with you today.
Thank you very much. Let's go to the first question. Who has the first question for us?
Thank you for being here today. My name is Jason Springer. I'm the director of the Student Success Center. Compared to the other finalists, yours is probably the most unique path to being here today. You've alluded to this a little bit already, but how do you feel like your particular professional experience has prepared you to become the chief executive at Snow College?
Great question. I think first and foremost, I'm a grad from here. I grew up here. I know how meaningful this institution is to the community. I've seen snow grow over the years. I have an innate passion and conviction about everything snow stands for. I'm pleased with its mission. When I found out I think it's my government relations background in me, but as soon as I found out in mid-December that I was going to be a finalist, I wanted to start talking to people. I still have a lot of friends and colleagues on this campus. I wanted to reach out and kind of see where things stood. Get the temperature of the campus community, but I was advised not to do that. So I waited until the names became released. But since that time, I've talked to faculty, staff, students. My niece is an ambassador here, Ellie Howard. I talked to President Carlson. I talked to community leaders in Richfield. I talked to Mayor Ogden. And what I found out is that Snow is in a great position to move forward. Now, my particular background, I think I have a balance of both internal and external professional experience. My last 5 years has been, like I said, essentially a president apprenticeship. We're working in the president's office, involved in every decision, working with, in my role, singling out the president. I have more interaction with each of the vice presidents, with our trustees, with academic affairs, student affairs, every enterprise on campus. I have more interaction than pretty much anybody else, excepting out the president. So I think that's a unique background and training. Additionally, I've worked in the system office, several system offices. I understand Snow's role in the system. I think it's to Snow's benefit to have a strong system, to play its unique role as a residential college, while at the same time building on some additional partnerships like what's been done in the business school. I think my external relations experience is unique. It's something that you have to experience and do in order to understand the legislative process. I've done it both in Utah and in Oregon. It requires patience, it requires building relationships, and I think that time and that development of those skills and developing those personal relationships, both internally and externally, would serve me well as the next president.
Thank you. Next question.
In my experience, I've attended college in Oregon, Colorado, Wyoming, and Utah. Now, reflecting all my experience here, what is it you can do to make Snow College better when we already have as faculty in state, if not three?
Well, I don't disagree with you there. I would just say, right on, that's exactly right, I completely agree. I would just like to work together with the best faculty and staff in taking it to the next level. So I mean, exactly, ditto.
All right, next question.
Mike Brinsley, social science faculty. What are your thoughts about academic freedom for faculty, and what do you think the relationship should be like between the management in the president's office and faculty?
Okay, I need to admit here that Mike Brinsley was my best friend in high school, so let's just get that on the table. In fact, the first, and this is going to date me, the first cassette tape I ever owned was gifted me by Mike Brinsley. It was Journey's Greatest Hits, and we would cruise down Ephraim Main Street. He told everybody it was his 1967 Midnight Blue GTO. For those more seasoned people in the audience, we know it was Ralph's car. Mike got to drive it. But my favorite song on that album is Don't Stop Believin'. It's kind of become a theme song of mine. I think it's a theme song for the college. Don't stop believing in everything we do. To your question, academic freedom. I think the college campus is the perfect place for exchange and interchange of ideas. I think it needs to be a safe place for that to happen. I think there needs to be respect for that to occur. And I can't think of a better place where difficult subjects, not so difficult subjects, are discussed and respect given. And at the same time, not everybody's going to agree. And I think that's the true test of a college or of an institution, allowing that exchange and interchange of ideas when there's not an agreement on opinions and beliefs.
Thank you. Next question.
I'm Brian Jones. I teach chemistry here at the college. And I'd just like to echo that has been said. We do have the best faculty here on campus.
I'm picking up a theme.
Yes. But we also face a unique challenge with respect to retaining the great faculty that we have. Because of compensation and overwork, we are plagued by poor retention of our great faculty. And I think that's leading to low enrollment with students. It stems from the faculty compensation package, but then at the same time, it's really difficult for us to find adjuncts here in a rural area. So as a result, we as faculty are picking up more and more overload classes, leading to the overworked and underpaid scenario. How can we retain the good faculty that we have so that we can build and grow our departments and our programs with continuity and good staff with the declining enrollment and the budget crisis that we might face?
Well, that's an important question. It's a team effort, isn't it? And I do think the large percentage of full-time faculty at Snow makes it the institution that it is, and I think Snow needs to do everything in its power to continue that. At Dixie State, where I work now, it was kind of a surprise to me when I learned that almost 50% of our faculty are adjunct. And there is something lost when there are that many adjunct, although we have terrific adjunct professors there. So I think it's a collective, it needs to be a multi-pronged approach. The administration needs to do everything in its power to advocate on behalf of the employees, faculty and staff. It's a role I feel comfortable with. I worked for almost 6 years at the Utah Education Association, where that was the focus of my work, was advocating for K through 12 teachers. It's a role I feel very comfortable with, understand, and believe in. And I think that's important. I do know that President Carlson has been excellent at this. And I know, as difficult as things are, last legislative session was nothing short of a miracle. So I would simply say, let's build on that momentum. Unfortunately, faculty, staff, it's true at other institutions in the state, and really in higher ed generally, will never get paid what they deserve. It's just, that's the climate in which we work. They'll never get paid what they deserve, but as an administration, we can do everything in our power to get those salaries closer to market medians, to establish a plan, to establish salary ladders, to provide professional development opportunities. At Dixie, where I lead our strategic plan, we have increased our professional development funding every year for the last 4 or 5 years. Recognize work well done. So while a big part of it is monetary and compensation related, there are other things that can be done, I think, to recognize faculty and building that sense of community. I mean, it's as I mentioned before, I remember the names of the professors I took classes from when I was a student here. You know, I took classes from Gary Parnell, from Lynn Polson, from Michael Seid. You know, those are the people you remember. The list goes on and on. And so we need to maintain that for our students today, that experience. Helping me around campus today was Katie Whipple and Rhett Justison, and he said he was interested in nursing, but he's taken a lot of classes in social science. And I said, well, you had Professor Brenchley yet? Yeah, I've had 3 of his classes. Rhett's never going to forget Professor Brenchley, and that's what we need to do, is make sure that our faculty do stay here.
All right, next question.
Hi, my name is Josh Hales. I'm the HR director and also a member of the business faculty here. My question, as I read through your resume, I see quite a lot of good accomplishments, a lot of really good project management, which kind of makes me man of my own heart, because that was kind of my bread and butter in the corporate world. But you know, kind of the project management and being kind of the right-hand man is very different than being kind of the manager on record and, you know, the head honcho. So how do you anticipate that experience transferring to kind of being in a very strategic role, but also very important management role as well?
Excellent question. The nice thing about, and I've seen this up close, the nice thing about being a university or college president is you don't have to know everything and you don't have to do everything. If that was a prerequisite, there probably wouldn't be very many people as candidates. It would also be a very scary proposition. Thankfully, I come into this eyes wide open knowing that it's a team effort. It's working together collectively. It's shared governance, valuing the faculty input. It's working together with the staff association. It's working with the students. I shared with our meeting with cabinet and deans and the faculty senate president, staff association president, that one of the outcomes of listening to staff, the staff association at Dixie, was our staff association at Dixie, in conjunction with the state staff association, has really been big proponents of Bring a Friend to Finish initiative. I don't know if some of you have heard that, where you essentially invite a friend to come back to college, somebody who's maybe been out a little bit, but it's your influence, your invite that brings them back to campus. Well, our leadership, President Williams, myself, we listened to that Bring a Friend to Finish initiative, and expanded upon that and rolled out a campus-wide initiative a week ago tomorrow, so last Friday, where we are encouraging everybody on campus, faculty, staff, to help us collectively, as individuals, think about friends, family, acquaintances that might benefit from coming back to school, or somebody who's going to be graduating high school, to think about that and then invite them to come back. So I think, as important as anything, it's listening and learning from others and recognizing that as president, this is being video recorded, I will not know everything when if I'm chosen as president. You have that assurance.
All right, thank you. Next question.
This is more trouble.
I'm Bart Nelson. I'm retired faculty. I chaired the search committee that recommended your father be hired here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hired a stranger from Orlando.
It turned out well.
Yes, thank you.
I was hired here by Floyd Holmes, so I go back through a number of administrations and have been a part of various administrative styles as it relates to the relationship between the faculty and the administration. So, in your opinion, what is the most effective and efficient way of facilitating good communication between the faculty and administration? And if I'm allowed a second question, I'd like to throw you a curveball.
Please do.
The football program at Snow College right now is in the state of limbo. I don't know how acquainted you are with our situation, but
Dixie hired the coach. I know that was part of the problem. That was not good timing for my sake, let me tell you.
But anyway, how important is a good athletic program, in particular football, and what can we do to foster it?
Great, thank you. If I forget the second question, will you remind me? Okay, in terms of the first question, I think being open and transparent is absolutely key. I think just sharing information, sharing the budgetary information, the term shared governance, to me, the most important aspect of that term is sharing. Open communication, transparency. If there are issues that arise, let's dialogue about it. Again, I think it goes back to my government relations background, where I like to visit with people. I like to solicit feedback and be advised. And so I have no problem sharing and valuing. To be honest, mentioning some of the outreach I did over the last several days, that was one of the things that people on campus uniformly appreciated about President Carlson, was just how he came in and from the very first day, listened, appreciated both what the faculty and the staff had to say, and was very positive in terms of shared governance, and was very transparent. So I would be 100% committed to that. And that's been my background experience at Dixie. Going back to the U of O, I attended faculty senate meetings regularly. I consider very close friends the last 5 senate presidents at Dixie. The first one I knew was on my search committee when I was hired at Dixie, Nate Staley. One of the faculty senate presidents asked me to write a reference letter for their tenure file. And then I'm in a mentoring relationship with another one of our faculty senate presidents. We're actually mentoring each other. And so it kind of comes back to those personal connections and respect. In terms of the football program, I am somewhat familiar with what's going on. Losing the coach, it sounds like a new coach, offensive coordinator was hired, so it seems like that's settled. But in terms of conference alliance and who to play, still dust to be settled there. I would just say, in visiting with President Carlson, these are my words, not his, but he made it clear to me that kind of over his dead body would football go away. And being a kid growing up here, spending nearly all of my Saturday afternoons in the fall, I can't imagine a Snow College without a football. I just can't. It wouldn't be criminal, but it would be almost criminal. Now you've got the lights. So even some of the faculty I talk to are just fully supportive of still maintaining its football program. Now there's going to have to be some work done in creative thinking. I asked, could Snow play some of the JCs in California now that the Arizona schools have gone well? I guess California colleges don't travel. So So that's one of the challenges in trying to schedule California schools to play. So Kansas, Texas, Midwest, but I would be absolutely committed to doing everything in my power to making sure football and the athletic program generally. Snow has such a rich history. I see Bob Triathlon back there. Snow has such a rich history with its athletic program. I mean, you put it up against some of the other colleges in the state or outside the state, what a history Snow has in terms of athletics. And the other thing too, in visiting with some faculty about it, is you wipe out football and there goes a lot of the diversity on campus and all the other people they bring with them, friends, family members. So I think it definitely is top of the priority list, but I'm hopeful and would do everything in my power to continue the great athletic program that's existed at Snow.
All right, thank you. Next question.
Hi, my name is Alan Riggs with the Counseling and Wellness Center. And as you're probably aware, there's been a lot of mental health challenges for college-age students, both in the state and nationally. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on addressing that problem at Snow.
I have to be honest, I'm not really familiar with it at Snow. I do know statewide and nationwide it's a real issue. It is at Dixie. It's been the top 1 or 2 priorities of the state organization of student body officers. So the student leadership has identified it statewide as a real priority in the last couple of years. When I met with the students this morning, I was pleased. I shared with Jared, and I think Carolee's the vice president, that I was happy to see that on their platform campaigning last year, that mental health was one of their 3 top priorities. It's absolutely important. I think it goes back to being an inclusive and welcoming campus. But there are a lot of issues, a lot of high schoolers with issues that bring them to campus. A lot of adults have mental health issues. So providing a supportive environment and assuming your office provides those services, making sure that students can get them in a timely way. I assume Snow is similar to other campuses that typically there's a little bit of a wait before students can get in, so trying to eliminate those wait times I think is absolutely important. Providing peer mentors, students to help work with peers I think is important. And acting quickly, but I recognize it. I think nationally and statewide, we're recognizing it. There's I forget the name of the app, but there's a statewide app, Healthy Utah or something like that. Safe UT, that is I think being very helpful, but it's an ongoing priority and concern that I think should continue to be addressed.
Thank you. Next question.
My name is Trent Fossa. I do statistics here. First, I want to thank you for your time in answering these questions and whatnot. My question is in regards to what you view as a healthy growth rate for Snow College. There's a diversity of opinions, as you might imagine. Some people wanting to persist, maintain essentially levels without necessarily expanding or growing. Other people see benefits of growing enrollment, but maintaining the 2-year status quo, so to speak. And finally, others would like to see the expansion of more 4-year degrees at Snow College. I would like to know, in terms of programs and numbers, what you see, or what is your vision for Snow College in, say, 5-10 years, and why? Why that growth rate? Thank you.
That's a great question. It's not a new issue. It's, I think, been debated since, at least my knowledge, in 1986. So it is an important one, though. I have shared that I do think it would be helpful for as much research and planning as it relates to enrollment. I do think it would be helpful that through an updated, refreshed strategic planning process, that an enrollment goal be identified. I haven't been able to find one. I've seen a lot of discussion around it. But for example, at Dixie State, that has experienced some pretty significant growth. I wouldn't recommend Snow growing that quickly, but if you ask nearly everybody on campus at Dixie State, what the 2020 enrollment goal is, they will tell you it's 12,500. So coming to a consensus about what an enrollment goal should be as maybe part of the next strategic planning process, I think would help answer some of those questions. Snow has to be true to its mission. Nobody that I talked to in my outreach has indicated otherwise. Has to be true to its residential college mission. Principally and primarily preparing students for that first 2 years, either earning an associate's degree or a CTE certificate or coming in and taking a few classes. I know SNO does offer 2 bachelor's degrees now. Staying true to its Regent-approved mission, I don't, that is yet to be determined in terms of, how quickly an additional bachelor's degree might be offered. I was thrilled to see, and I've shared this with several groups, the partnership that exists and was recently put together by Professor Stacy McKiff and the business department with Utah State University. To me, that's maybe a template. That's an example of how SNO can be true to its mission, but creatively offer additional educational opportunities by providing the first 2 years of schooling here and then offering the second 2 years, the upper division courses, in conjunction with Utah State also here. So I think there also is room for additional diversity in terms of how courses are delivered. I'd have to get here and kind of see where we're at in terms of online and blended and whatnot. But I've shared several places that more and more education needs to be taken to the students. Students are so busy. They've got their own lives. They've got work. They have their own families. One of our great student body presidents at Dixie the last couple of years, Ezra Hainsworth, he's from Mount Pleasant. He's a North Sanpete high grad. He graduated from Dixie with a bachelor's, and he had a couple employment opportunities, a couple schools up north, and then one at Dixie as a recruiter. Dixie wanted to keep him, but Ezra also wanted to continue his education. And I saw him around campus one day and said, Ezra, are we going to be able to keep you? You're a terrific student leader. We hope you don't leave us, but what about your education? He said, I'm going to do it online. I'm going to get my master's degree online, and I'm going to continue to live and work here at Dixie. So I think there is opportunities for diversity both in terms of delivery and some creativeness as it relates to other academic programs, staying within the mission of the college at least.
Dr. White, as the next questioner comes down, I just want to pose a question to you. Of course, we're here at Ephraim.
Yes.
But as you're well aware, there's also a campus in Richfield. Would you talk a little bit about the Richfield campus and how that should relate to Ephraim and its importance as part of Snow College?
I'd be happy to, Commissioner. For those of you who don't know me, my father worked on campus here in Ephraim for 16 years, and then he worked on the Richfield campus for close to an additional 9. So I have a unique history and understanding of both campuses, and am committed to the viability and the success of both campuses. In my outreach, I talked to, through the search committee process, it was impressed upon me, and I'm sure the other candidates, not just me, during the interview up in Salt Lake, that Mayor Ogden's comments in Richfield played a really important role in terms of recognizing some of the healing that President Carlston has done over the last 5 years as it related to Ephraim and Richfield. And I would just pick up where that left off. I had a really terrific conversation with the mayor. He's committed to Snow Richfield continuing growing along with Ephraim. So I would probably like to see in this, again, I have to get here, Snow Richfield offers terrific CTE options. It's offering more and more general education offerings. And so if that could possibly be grown too. But it's, as the mantra, I think it's beautiful. One institution, 2 campuses. Snow is stronger because of the 2 campuses. And I'd be committed.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Hey, we share the same mentor, and I was talking to him about the strategic planning work you've done. And I guess this is the context in which I'd like to ask your experience in the strategic plan you helped lead at Dixie. I taught at BYU, practiced law, and taught at Dixie. And the thing that surprised me here at Snow is how people, like at least to me, it seems like we're a family. It's kindness and consistency, which people say is the spirit of Snow. So how would you preserve and expand the spirit of Snow? And if you could talk about it in the context of how you brought people together at Dixie, presumably. At least that's what President Williams tells me.
Yes, and I know Nate going back to my St. George days and think the world of him and his family. So absolutely right. I think planning, strategic planning, can serve that role. Here, a lot of it's just, you know, it's homegrown. It's really unique. I've worked a lot of different places, and this is hard to replicate. So I think there's something in the water here that you know, is just unique. But Dixie is a great place to work too. I mean, there are wonderful people there. President Williams, great leadership team, wonderful faculty, students, very invested trustees, terrific supportive community. So I think in similar ways, my work in supervising and leading the strategic planning can pick up with my personal connections here and get the next strategic plan up and rolling, collective, collaborative effort that gives us that vision. There's nothing more important visiting with donors, with legislators, and being able to articulately and concisely share what the vision of the college is. And I utilized this when I was a lobbyist at the University of Oregon, being a graduate. There's just something about when you are personally committed, it's sincere, you have benefited from the institution, and you see the difference it makes in the lives of your family and your friends, and you want other people to have that. And so I think it's kind of hard to replicate, but planning can help operationalize that spirit of Snow.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Oh boy.
Hi, my name is Alex Peterson. I'm the director of the Center for Global Engagement.
Another fellow Templar, I might add.
You know, the focus of two-year schools oftentimes is not on global issues, but more focused on local issues. But we live in a world that, with technology and transportation and the internet, is becoming more and more globalized. What would your vision be for global engagement were you to, if you were the president of Snow College?
Well, thankfully, I know it's in good hands. Let's start with that. And it has a very viable and vibrant program, and has a diverse student representation across its international student group. I think that's important. Problems I've seen at some campuses is where the global engagement focuses too much on a single or a few regions within the world. So I think what you're doing is exactly right. Keep doing it. I think there is a benefit to the community here locally, having a global outreach, having these students. I am sure, I don't know this for a fact, I am sure there are students who were international students when I was a student here, have now sent their children here. That has to be the case, I believe it, because I knew those kids were having a great experience back then. So building those relationships is so important. We as a campus learn from them, they learn from us, and I would just say continue the great work and know that it would be a priority for me as president. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Jay Olson. I teach agriculture in the business department, and the Snow College's position here in rural Utah, a real need for being a leader in entrepreneurship, both on campus and in entrepreneurship in the area in general. What's your vision as to the college's opportunities as well as responsibility when it comes to entrepreneurship to strengthen student opportunities as well as rural communities?
That's a timely question for me. I think it's important to be receptive and proactive in terms of offering programs that the local community and the business community needs and wants. literally just learned yesterday of a partnership at Dixie through one of our former faculty senate presidents, who's now an associate provost at Dixie. She's our community engagement lead. And it's through her efforts and the office of our provost, we've established a relationship with Kane County, Kanab High School, where we will be, at their request, at Kane County and Kanab High School's request, Dixie State is building a center. We've been given a room. I don't know if it's an old band room. I saw a picture of it. In Kanab High School. Dixie State is going to have a presence there. I think if Dixie had been left to its own to choose what courses to offer, we might have offered some different than what we will be offering. But working with Kane, Kanab High School, the community, they requested that we provide CTE-based education and accelerated associate degree, but one of those programs was in entrepreneurship. Another was computer related. Another was in early childhood development. That would be principally online. So when you listen to the community and are responsive to it, I think that's when the best marriage of programs and offerings can occur. So, you know, I'm seeing it happen at Dixie. I'm hearing it's important here at Snow and the surrounding community. So I would like to think creatively, visit with you some more about how that can roll forward and be developed here. But I was blown away by this partnership with Dixie, both in terms of collaboration with local government, local school district, the serving university, as well as a variety of delivery options that will serve students, you know, young and older, in the high school and outside. So.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
My name is Fernando. You probably remember me.
Yes, I remember from the search committee. Hello.
I just want to ask you kind of a similar question again as we did in Salt Lake.
Sure.
What are your ideas in terms of growing diversity in student body population here, as well as attracting diverse faculty and staff to Snow?
I think that's very important. Some of my earliest experience with diversity was when my family moved to Orlando. We were living in Orem, moved to Orlando. A Utah kid, and just absolutely loved and enjoyed that experience of living in Orlando, interacting with culture and people from all different backgrounds. When I moved to Ephraim as a senior in high school, I was trying to remember in preparation for coming here. When I was at Manti High my senior year, I had the opportunity to be a big brother to 3 Hispanic young men in elementary school. That was life-changing for me. I got to know their families. I got to know everything about them. I spent time with them and really learned to love and appreciate and understand that these kids just needed a chance. Everybody doesn't start at the same place, but we can help get everybody to the same ending. And so I have a real conviction, understanding, and appreciation for diversity, inclusion. I would think it's been a centerpiece, quite honestly, of our strategic plan at Dixie. I shared this with you. We have really particular metrics and goals for that, and we've exceeded those. I think as president, it's important to talk about the importance of inclusion and diversity. Sometimes people need to feel welcome, and there are things that we can do to make everyone feel welcome. I think Sanpete, Ephraim, Sevier, Richfield does a terrific job of making feel welcome, but I think there can be improvements. So I think once the students get here, once the faculty get here, going out of our way to make sure they feel welcome and understanding why we maybe lose some to attrition. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. We have time for about 1 or maybe 2 more questions. Yeah, come on.
I will not be here because I want you to welcome me at Snow College. because I want you to meet my friends, be happy. And what I love is to do at some college and a football program. So I love all 250 million kids coming to college. And my high school knows IP. And over my high school, I love them here. Because they're close to me. Because I want you to be so college president, be here. Because I want you to feel welcome here at so college.
Thank you. D-Bob. That's great. Well, I want to be your president. And this is what Snow is all about right here, D-Bob. What a solid young man you are.
You know, I'm a church service missionary. I will FM group at my time. I love through a mission program. Because there's no help. I will do for here for college. I know I was on a mission be like Hawaii. I really feel homesick for Hawaii. Because I love them there. Because I know my friends is here with me. I love high school, not happy high school. Because I love them, a high school program. And you, I want you to be here. I love you here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I want to be here too.
All right. Thank you, D-Bob. One other question would probably fit in. If there is one. One more. All right, great.
Hello, I'm Zeb White. I'm the Assistant Director for Student Life here. I just wanted to ask, looking ahead, if you were to be president at Snow College, what would you want your tenure at Snow College to be remembered by? Or what were the accomplishments you would want to be remembered by?
That's an interesting question. I would say, and I put this in my application materials, I think the focus needs to be on student success. It all comes back to the students. It comes back to D-Bob. So I would feel ecstatic if Snow could be the leader within the state, outside the state, on student success and everything that entails. Access, recruitment, retention. That to me is the most important overriding thing that demonstrates that an institution is succeeding in every way. So my focus would be on student success.
All right, well, thank you very much. Let me just share the next steps. So we invite your feedback.
Can I offer one closing?
Oh, yes,
okay.
Sure.
Sorry. I just wanted to offer one closing comment. And I've shared this several times, but this is a 1991 Snow Faculty Studies book. The year I was a freshman in college here at Snow. It was surplus property at the commissioner's office. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
We've been looking for that.
Here it is. You'll have to pry it away from my fingers. But just to give you an idea, a little walk down memory lane. There are entries in here from Gary Parnell, wasn't planning on this, Boyd Beck, Steve Peterson, Diana Major Spencer, Lane Burnham, Susan Burdett, Michael Syke, John Hendrickson, Roger Baker, Jerry Day. In 1991, Boyd Beck gave the convocation, and he talked about the importance of YOU, embracing your own uniqueness, in 1991. In 1991, is Alex still here? Steve Peterson talked about active learning. in 91, and Steve talked about not needing to break your back to teach students active learning, because he took a group of students to the rodeo grounds, was encouraged to get on a horse. The horse ran out from under. There's probably more to this story, but ended up breaking his back through this active learning experience. And he said you don't have to do that to engage in active learning. And then the second to last entry was by President Jerry Day. I love all the presidents of SNO. Janelyn and I were married by President Day in Manti, so I suppose we have a particular close connection to him. But he says at the very end of his entry, he says, never has education had greater challenge to step forward at a greater pace, to be a force for greater good to more of the world's citizens in such a short time span than today. And I think in 2019, it's even more applicable than it was in 1991. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give Dr. Ryan a hand. Well, thank you all for being here today. Let me just again mention, for any of you who may have come in later, we very much are welcoming your feedback. This will be confidential. It will not be posted on the internet, like those comments you saw in the newspaper. We're not going to do that. But give us your comments, please. They will be shared as appropriate tomorrow morning. The Board of Regents, with the Executive Committee of the Board of Trustees, will be interviewing each of the finalists and deliberating, and we have posted a public meeting for 5:30 p.m. tomorrow afternoon at Founders Hall in the Noyes Building, at which time the Board of Regents will be selecting the next president of Snow College. So it'll be a very exciting time. We invite you back then as well. It'll also be streamed if you're not able to be there. So again, thank you for your attention, and we look forward to continuing this process over the next 24 and a half, 25 hours. So thank you very much.